What's up, everybody? Got my Bobcat S250 here. We developed a fuel issue. The fuel is full of crud, full of water. It's got to be drained. So I think my problem is fuel supply along with the water issue. So I need to drain the tank. Make sure I get all that cruddy water out of there, cruddy fuel. So this is the filler tube for the fuel tank. And where it goes into the tank, there's just too many twists and turns to get my siphon hose down. So I think the first thing I'm gonna try, I'm gonna take it loose here, see if I can straighten it out enough to get the siphon hose down in there. I may have to try to take it loose on the bottom end where it goes into the tank. There's a small access cover from the outside, but of course it's crusted over with crap. So we're gonna try plan A first. Or maybe this is B or C, I don't know. I've tried a few things already. So let's see what we can do. I think this flat edge of the hose is catching where it goes in. Try to round it or do something with it. See if I can get it past that next curve. Lubricate this sucker. Does not want to go past that point. I got a little bit stiffer hose I'm going to try. Now I believe there is a fuel tank drain on this thing. I may end up having to use, but That's 25 gallons of fuel you gotta deal with down there. Once you pull the plug, there's no stopping it. It's all coming out. I've tried to get a siphon hose down the fuel filler tube. It won't go. So I'm gonna have to find another way in. I think I might be able to take the fuel filler hose loose from the tank, get my hose in that way to siphon it out. I've actually got a pump, so I can pump it out if I can get in there. So yeah, let's see if we can get this thing running. All right. I brought a jack. I'm thinking I'm gonna take this tire off out of the way. I'm gonna try to get in there, clean where that filler tube goes into the tank, and see if I can get it off right there. Can't get the siphon hose to make that final jump into the tank. Shock all the tires. Okay. You have to be careful. These things will roll. We got all 3 of the other tires chalked. Shouldn't go anywhere. Always leave yourself some running room. Right now, if it slips off the jack, the tire's still going to catch it. So we're not going to loosen that tire until we get it up. I got an impact, should take it off. All right, so that tube is the filler tube. I believe there's going to be a hose clamp on this thing, maybe. We're going to clean it off, see what we can find. See if we can take it loose right there and then go right into the tank to pump the fuel out. Yep, there's hose clamp. We just clean it up enough not to drop even more junk in the tank, if that's even possible. It's pretty full. I meant to pressure wash this thing a few times and never did. Kind of wish I'd have made that a priority. That's our hose clamp. So I got where to move. I can get it back, get a screwdriver in it, get it loose, and slide it up the tube. There we go. Let's see if we can get the tube off of the tank. That's going to be a job. It's coming. Yes. Oh shit. Well, that'll work, maybe. here's why I wouldn't go any further. It's got a screen in it. All right. See if we can get the fuel out of this thing and go from there. Had a little rust in the filter. I'm try to clean this up a little bit. So I bought this little electric pump. Try to use it to empty out that fuel tank. When we get it really, really low as we can get it, we'll probably see if we can get the drain off on the bottom and get the rest of the crud out. See how well this works. Collapsing the tube. All right, I've got all the fuel out of it I can get with the pump. So I'm going to get a catch can, get under it, and see if I can't open the drain and get whatever's left in there to come on out. And then I'm going to clean up that filler tube, the end of it where it was so dirty. I'm going to clean that up and get that put back in. Before I get under this thing, I'm going to put the tire back on. Just put a couple bolts in. I still need it out of my way to get to the filler tube, so I can reinstall that. But I want to try to drain it before I put that tube in, just in case I gotta get in there, suck some more out. I don't know. Let's try this. How much is there in there? Probably ain't never been out. Get my hammer. Shit. Son of a... I'll fix this little red wagon. Fix it to ring it off. Hammer time. Oh, come on. Well, we may not be able to drain the tank. Let me think. Maybe I need a 6-point instead of a 12-point if I got one. See what I can figure out. Some beach. I guess it's vice grip time. Ah! I don't have enough tools here to get them out. Wish I could get it out. Get that last little drop of crap out of there. But I don't have enough tools. You never have enough tools. All right, let's get the fuel filler tube back in. See what happens. Okay, so I missed filming some of this. Let me show you what happened. After I cleaned all the fuel out, I was getting so much trash and water in the fuel. Got it filled back up, tried to prime it using this bulb. You pump it to prime. There's a bleeder valve right here, and you pump it until clean fuel comes out of that. Well, I also noticed that there was a tear right here, right in the corner. When I was trying to prime it, it would put a little fuel and then no fuel, air. So I figured my line, I had thought my line was clogged, but then I found a tear in the corner right here. So I cut that out, put the old bulb back on, still wouldn't pump up. So I put a new bulb on it, and lo and behold, started pumping fuel. So I bled it out, pumped it up, bled it out here. And once it primed up, it started right up. I thought, man, I had this thing. It ran for, I don't know, 2-3 minutes, maybe, somewhere in there. And died again, fuel starvation. I'm like, son of a gun. So after it died that time, I came back here and looked, and this bulb was collapsed. It was sucked down real tight. I let it sit for an hour or so, came back out, and the bulb was full size again. So I started up, and it ran until it sucked it down. So I figure I have a clog in the fuel line. Now I'm back to thinking I got a clog in the fuel line with all the gunk and stuff that's in there. Let me show you what goes on the end of the fuel line. On the end of the fuel line, at the very end, where this thing goes in, I'll show you all this. This is what goes down into the tank. You see that on the bottom? So that's what goes on the bottom. It's a little check valve. If you shake it, you can hear the little BB in it. So I think that's full of crud, and that's my problem. That screen is probably packed with junk. So I'm going to change out the fuel line that goes into the tank. Now the fuel line, this fuel line, when I trace it, it goes down into the center of the tank, right? And I cannot get to that. So when I raise the cab, I plunder around, see if I can find the end of it. There's no access to the end of that line. So what I'm going to do is go to a different point on the tank that I can get to, drill a hole, and put in the new fuel line. And that's where it'll have to be. It'd be better if it was in the center of the tank. So if you're on slopes and all that, it would still most likely pick up. But now if I'm on a slope and this thing tilts, it may run out of fuel. Just have to see. Have to maybe try to keep it full. I don't know. But I got to get a fuel line in it. This is the only way I can figure out to do it. So here we go. So there's an access panel on each side. That's the filler tube going into the tank. Right back here, there's part of the tank, and this is where I'm going to drill my hole. So I want to access it on this side of the machine. There's a better spot on the other side of the machine, but then I got to try to route the line. So I'm just going to do it right here. Well, as I usually do, I forgot to put the grommet on. So let's back up. All right, so we'll put our grommet on and our clamp, and we'll shove it on there. All right, I took the clamp off because the grommet will not slide over it. Put the grommet on there first, you can't get it in the tank. Anyway, I think it's gonna hold. Put this sucker on. Put some RTV around it. Oh shit. Oh. It's gonna go in one way or another. Oh, you mother. I used a step bit, and I'm gonna have to freaking. Alright, I fought it. Finally got it in there. Didn't have a good hose clamp, so I used tie wrap. Maybe that'll work. There's a lot of maybes in what I do. Now I got this new hose. I plugged off the old hose, and I'm just gonna connect this. See what happens. See if it won't prime after that. All right, so I got my new line. Got that cut. Put that on. Handy dandy hose clamp. Thought I'd bought some, but I can't find them. Nice and tight. We should get fuel. I'm gonna crack this bleeder screw. As I pump, I'm watching for clean fuel. The bulb actually acts like it's supposed to. All right, I'm starting to get fuel. Do a little bit more just to make sure there's no air in it. Tighten her down. Should be primed and ready to fire up. So it's running again. I'm gonna put this cover back on, let it sit there and warm up while I'm doing that. Then we'll run it around for a little bit and see if it keeps going. If that don't get it, anybody want to buy a Bobcat? Wrong again. So it's starving for fuel again. Once again, this is collapsed, even with a new feed. So there must be more gunk in the tank, maybe. I don't know. We're gonna let it cool down, go eat some lunch. All right, so let's review. So I was driving this thing and it acted like it ran out of fuel. So I drained the fuel filter and it was full of water. I mean, it was full of water and gunk, nasty stuff. So kind of figured I was gonna have to drain the fuel system to get all that out of there. I pumped the bulb and it pumped out gunk and water. It was really nasty. So I was like, man, fuel tank needs to be drained. So you guys saw me go through all that. Couldn't drain the tank, but I pumped it out. Got everything I could with the pump out. Even after I clean the screen off, if you tap it on the metal, you'll still see chunks of crap coming back out of it. See all that stuff trying to work its way out? Let's see if I can pull it off and blow it out with something. All right, we have got to drain the fuel. There's no other option. I'm under this thing again. I've got it up in the air a little bit. Got some boards under it. So I'm gonna try to get these bolts out, get the tank drained, because it's full of crud that just keeps clogging the fuel line. One way or another, these bolts are coming out. So all we had to do was get the impact on it. Once we did, it opened. So now we got to dig through all this crud, see if we can find a drain. for the fuel tank. Never been in one of these, so I don't even know what I'm looking for. Just trying to find a drain. It's just water that's blocked from draining out. If I had my pressure washer, I'd clean this thing up, but I don't. I'm gonna cut this thing down that I found, making my drain pan. Should hold quite a bit. See if we can get the bolt out now. Seems like just a plug stuck in the grommet, not a bolt or anything. So I'm gonna see if I can pry it out, get her to leak. All right, here she comes. You can see that's the plug. All right, I got the fuel drained out of it. That pan that's down there, it's probably 3/4 full. Tomorrow we'll go get some fuel. We'll pump some in there and flush it on out, and then we'll pump all this out of that pan into some cans, put some clean, fresh fuel in it, and hopefully that'll take care of our issue. We will see. See the stuff floating in it? That's what's clogging our fuel line. So this is the plug that goes in the bottom. I'm gonna clean this up and get it back in. All right, I'm gonna clean out this tube. Clean out the filter on the end of this tube one more time, I hope. Put it back in there and see how long it runs. So the cover's about shot. I don't know why. All right, so I'm gonna squeeze the bulb and get some, get the air out. All right, should be primed. Should fire right up. All right, so I think I got the fuel system figured out. It clogged one more time on the old filter, the pickup tube filter. I went ahead and replaced that. Was gonna run it for a while, see what happens. I may have to flush that tank again. Maybe it needs a new tank, I don't know. But I got a new issue. Dry belt just broke. Can't win.